Hi, my name is Alicia McNaughton. Welcome to the Mystical Institute of Healing Arts. Today we're going to be talking about a healing crisis, a healing process, otherwise known as the Herkimer reaction. When you're working with energy, Reiki healing, shamanic healing, Reiki attunements, even meditation, yoga, massage. I've seen people go into a healing crisis just whatever it is that they're doing to heal themselves opens up a pocket of energy that's been stored with either physical toxins inside of it or other types of toxins that are located in the subtle bodies, the mental body, the emotional body, and then the spiritual bodies. So often when somebody's experiencing a healing crisis, they don't understand if it's normal. I usually get that question, is this normal? So that's why I'm making this video. I've been doing energy work since 2006. Actually probably like since I was a child, but professionally since 2006. And I've worked in spas, chiropractic offices, metaphysical healing centers, nonprofit, spiritual type organizations, yoga studios, and I've had my own business since 2006. So I've seen all types of healing crises, healing processes, Herkimer reactions. As healers, that's what we're studying. We are bringing light into some pretty dark places, and these places aren't always, we're not always conscious that they were there to begin with. Sometimes the healing process will actually bring you into your process. Whereas before, when you're used to Western medicine, they're suppressing symptoms and emotions and seemingly unwanted issues, right? But they are suppressing them with medications. And when I'm talking about medications, again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not allowed to diagnose or prescribe, so please do listen to your doctor. But this is just a different form of practicing healing. So this is another tool for your toolkit. And energy work is very complementary when it works with your doctor. But I do have to give you my disclaimer that I'm not a doctor. So, how it works is when we're working with energy, we're not wanting to mask the symptoms. We're not wanting to give you an aspirin to make your headache go away. So if you're receiving what we would call a third eye opening, for example, let's say somebody did a lot of Reiki on your third eye and you were really envisioning and learning how to visualize. And you had what we call an energy download, transmission, or attunement, where we were wanting to open this. Now, why would we want to open that chakra? The benefits to opening up your third eye is to be able to think clearly, to be able to connect your mental body to your intuition so that you're not just cycling the same thought over and over and over again. You're actually able to access higher consciousness and remember what you already know from past lifetimes in the part of you known as your higher self. Once that starts to happen, people can often feel pressure because they were working in the third dimension, and now suddenly you're opening to the higher consciousness or the higher aspects of yourself and the higher dimensions, and you're wanting to increase more information. So oftentimes people will feel pressure in their third eye. And what I recommend for that is taking some lavender oil, and when you're using essential oils, you don't want to use it like a perfume bottle. You want to just get one drop on there and rub it onto your third eye. And another thing you can do is just gently tap that area. And you can also rub it into your temples. And we're doing this softly. This is really great here for easing anxiety, which is another Ascension symptom. And one of the reasons that we would have anxiety come up for us in our healing process is if you have suppressed memories. And it's really common for people to compartmentalize their emotions. It's how you're able to suit up and show up and go to work. It's how you're able to carry on and do what you have to do and be strong and put your best foot forward and be positive. All these things are good. To think about the positive, to rise above it, to pull yourself through it, to rally. These are important survival techniques, but they are not for healing. They are for getting through difficult situations. And what will happen is you're kind of leaving a part of yourself unprocessed, unfinished for later, and then you're having to carry that with you. And it's a weight, it's a heaviness, and it can create, if it's left unattended or unexamined or not processed and stored for a long period of time, it can lead to things like depression. Depression is feelings that are stuffed down there that aren't being felt, and so it takes away from the good feelings too, because these are your feelings. Okay, so your feelings is what you have available to feel good, and if you take those feel-good feelings and leave them over here because you're afraid of the other flip side of that, which is when feelings are sad or angry or some of the more unwanted fear-based emotions. People usually want to feel joy, they want to feel pleasure, they want to feel peace. And so one quick way to do that is to just push it aside and show up with the remainder of the energy that you have left and use that part of yourself. And then you think, I don't know what's wrong with me, because you've disconnected from it. So you may have been able to be okay all day long, and then all of a sudden something will come up that will trigger a memory that is back there, and all this emotion will come rushing forward, and you'll think, what just happened? Well, that's a healing reaction. That's a Herkimer reaction in the emotional body. And we consider that to be a good thing. As a shaman, when I go into the hospital and I see people in process, I see them heavily medicated. I see them, and I can see their energy, and I can see all the stored, compartmentalized energy that's either from this lifetime or from previous lifetimes. And I can see them just trying to calm it down, trying to give them remedies, trying to suppress it, trying to treat the symptoms, trying to work with them on a physical, neurological level, or work with the different body symptoms. And what I've learned as an energy healer is that there are other ways to address a situation. We don't have to just look at the physical symptoms. When you're reading energy, you can see, oh, I can see how that stored energy is pressing on this person's neurological health and creating an imbalance here. So I can go in there with my spirit guides, and we can start to examine some of this at a level that the person can handle, moving some of this off so that there's not this pressure anymore, and turning it over to the light, giving it to our angels to carry it away, to transmute it, to heal it, turning it over to what we call the violet flame, working with ascended masters to transmute this negative energy into positive energy. Now, sometimes it's like waving a magic wand where we're able to do that if there's not a lesson associated with it. If there is a lesson that this person still needs to learn on a soul level, then we're not here to take away that person's lessons. And so that's when that person will have a remainder of energy after a session that they still need to examine, because there was something that happened that they were supposed to learn from. And sometimes that can take more than one session, and you will need other types of support, like psychotherapy or life coaching or yoga or massage or whatever it is that you need, that you feel drawn to. You can come back in for energy coaching, readings, tarot readings, oracle card readings, bringing through channeled messages from spirit. I can tune into that part where you have a pocket of information stored in your body, and I can read where it's coming from. And my specialty as of late has been to read your Akashic records and go into past lifetimes and see what you're bringing forward and how it's affecting your life in the here and now. But there are lots of different things that could be stored there. It can be pockets of information and energy that belong to another person, for example, and we call those energy cords. So if you had an energy cord, the most common high frequency light being to call on would be Archangel Michael, because he has this blue flame sword, and we can use our selenite to find the sword energetically, clairvoyantly, because we've done our work and opened up our third eye. Find where the cord is in your body, where the energy leak is coming from. That's creating a physical symptom or an unwanted symptom, or maybe just keeping your energy levels depleted. There's lots of different things that a cord could do, but it's going to feel like pressure right there and build up, and unwanted emotions are going to be there, right? So we can follow it through really tracking it. Okay, as a shaman, that's what we're doing, is tracking the energy, or as a Reiki practitioner, we're reading where the energy is, and we're gonna want to release that person's energy back to them, back to where it came from, and also allow you to call your own power back, your own energy back, so that people can be healthier, two healthy individuals side by side rather than enmeshment. Okay, and oftentimes it's good to read about codependency and learn about it mentally, but unless you're working on it and addressing it with the spiritual body, the emotional body, the mental body too, in addition to the mental body and the physical body, there are just other bodies to address, is my point. So sometimes there's things that need to be felt. You can understand cognitively like what you need to do, but until you actually go in and feel your feelings about whatever it is that happened, that stored energy is still going to be there. So we have to feel it in order to heal it. Now, things that you can do to assist when you just feel clogged, like there's just way too much for you to process and it's just overwhelming, is you can go and you can get, I get these at Costco. This is Himalayan pink salt. This is a really high vibrational salt, but you can use regular salt. Sea salt is the best. And you can get just like a scoop or a cup full, or even a half a cup full will be nice, and pour it into your bathtub, and then figure out what kind of essential oils you need. So if you're feeling anxious, I would recommend the lavender. If you're feeling really out of your body, like really unstable, erratic, you'll need grounding. So this is cedar. Cedar oil is really good for getting into your body and really feeling connected to yourself, rather than having pieces of yourself scattered all over town because you've been super busy. If you're needing spiritual protection, spiritual enlightenment, frankincense is a really good one. That's what they use in different church ceremonies. It's one of those biblical oils. It's a spiritual oil. They've used it in lots of different parts of the world, different religious traditions, spiritual traditions. It's one of those oils that can have past lifetime memories with it. And for some people, it's a temple herb. So it reminds them of temple, and it brings them into a holy communion when they smell it. Rose is really good. It's really expensive. You can use rose geranium if you can't afford rose oil. And I'm not talking about fragrance, I'm talking about essential oils, which is actually extracted from the plant. Okay, so you can get those at Sprouts, you can get those at your local health food store, you can get them online. This is called revive.com, where I got mine. I don't have a multi-level marketing situation with them. But they are therapeutic grade essential oils, and what they've done is they've cut out the middleman, so you're not having to pay as much as you would for Young Living or doTERRA, but they have a lot of the same blends, so it's like a knockoff version. Okay, so drinking water is really important. I have water enhancers in this water so that it tastes good, but it's still water, and it has magnesium, and a little bit of green tea extract, and often I'll put like a little bit of liquid vitamin C or vitamin D drops in here to boost my immune system, because when you're processing a lot of energy, you know, it's hard on all of your body systems. When you're doing a lot of emotional work, you're borrowing energy from the other four bodies. When you're doing a lot of physical work, then you might not have enough energy to do your emotional processing. So, you know, it's give and take, and you want to really work with yourself as a whole being when you're doing your energy work or your healing. So the bath, you'll put some, like up to 5 drops in a bathtub is plenty, and you want to get in there for about 10 minutes, and in 10 minutes you're going to clear a lot of toxins, a lot of stagnant energy is going to come out of you, and then you want to drain it and rinse off if you can. You don't want to stay in there longer, because then it's going to start to reabsorb, If you do feel like you just need a nice soak and you are enjoying what it feels like to be in the bath, drain the salt water and then fill it up again with just your lavender oil, maybe some rose petals, and then you can stay in for longer. Okay, so salt baths are really important. I usually do them about once a week when I'm being really good to myself. Another thing that you can do in your bath is you can, or when you're going to sleep or just when you're meditating, I have crystals with me all the time. I carry them with me. I have them all over my house. They're my medicine. Some people are really drawn to them. Some people aren't so much. But you can put them in your bath. Some of them you can't. Some of them are really pretty, really shiny. This one will dull the sheen. And this is selenite. We do sell these. I think they're really, really super fun. And this is another really good one, like when you come home and you want to wash, clean the energies from the day. Your aura is usually about 3 feet around you in the front and the back and the sides, like an egg around you. Healers have auras that are a lot bigger. It can fill up an entire room, but just the process of running this through your energy is encouraging this release. Like we're cutting all the cords from anything that is unhealthy or unwanted or that which is detrimental, clearing away anybody's energy that is not mine, calling my energy back, visualizing white light around you, visualizing white light around everybody that you interacted with, taking a breath. Exhale, push that person all the way out of your field. And taking a breath. And exhaling anything that you might have empathed throughout the day, all the way out. And this is a really wonderful tool to do that, but don't put this selenite in your bath water. Ones that you can put in your bath water are different ones. So I love Tiger's Eye for empowerment. This is just so pretty to look at. Peach Moonstone is just wonderful for bringing in that divine feminine energy, working on the sacral chakra, healing any emotions that got stored in your sacral chakra or your lower back, calling in and working with the divine feminine. So Mother Mary is the most common divine feminine in our region, and she's just so compassionate and loving with inner child work. So if you are processing stuff that happened in your childhood, she's a great one to bring in. The goddess of compassion, Kuan Yin, she is wonderful for working with groups of people. I love to bring her in after a house clearing or when I'm working in yoga studios and doing Reiki. She loves to come in and help people with their soul process work. She's known as a bodhisattva. And so she has decided to stay here as a guide to work with all human beings until we have all reached ascension. So she's not going on. She's decided to come back and stay with us. So she's a wonderful guide to have. If you're clearing some of the gnarliest stuff you've ever cleared, there comes a point in everybody's journey where it's time. Like it's time for you to get serious and really work through what you came here to clear, like your ancestral karmic cleansing and things that you would never have thought of in your day-to-day that were very buried for many, many lifetimes that you're wanting to finally deal with to heal something that's been passed down in the family lineage for a long time, which is another thing that I've been specializing in helping with people with as late. She's a wonderful one to call on, Kali. So this is Kali the Destroyer, and it sounds really scary, but she's amazing. And she'll come in and she just breathes this fire energy and it feels really high frequency light. It's healing energy. It feels really, really good. I mean, it's like exactly what you want when you've got something like that, is for something to come in and just, okay, we're going to take care of this. It's like when the house is on fire and somebody comes in with a fire extinguisher, that's pretty much what she feels like when she comes in, when you really have something going on, okay? Another really good one that people love to call on for protection is any of the archangels, but Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael has the blue flame, and the blue flame clears things that are out of alignment with divine will. And you can call on the blue flame to just bathe you while you're in your bathtub, but bathing you with the blue flame of light. Archangel Gabriel is the one with the trumpet, and really helps with communication. So if you have to confront somebody and draw some boundaries, and you're at that stage of your healing process where it's time for you to learn how to say some things that you've been afraid to say to somebody that means a lot to you, and you're wanting to preserve the relationship, you can call on Archangel Raguel for that too, for helping with disputes. But Archangel Gabriel is just really good for bringing through beautiful words of wisdom and divine inspiration. It's great for teachers. And the white flame of Ascension comes in with this angel. And the white flame of Ascension is, wow. I mean, if you have, once you're touched by the white flame, it is said that you will never be the same again. So if there's something that you've been working on that you haven't been able to shift, that's really, really hard, and you are ready to completely transform it, working with the white flame is a really good way to do that. Archangel Raphael, if somebody has something physical going on, this is a really beautiful way to work with healing somebody or healing yourself. Okay, it comes in with the green flame, which when it's the ray form, it's more nourishing. When it's the flame form, it's really turning up the volume. And in its ray form, it's orange. So you can see that there's a lot of orange and green in this picture. I can tell you a funny story about that. I called on Archangel Raphael when my husband inhaled selenite dust, because selenite normally looks like this, and we were polishing it. And it creates all this dust. And all this dust, he actually breathed some of it in because we were novices. It was a long time ago. We didn't realize you need to cover your face with protective gear. And he breathed it in and couldn't breathe very well. So we had to go to the ER. And I was panicking and started calling in Archangel Raphael and working on my husband. And he was having trouble breathing and letting the light flow through my hands. And he suddenly broke through and was fine. Like, I don't know how this angel did this. I mean, there were a physical substance in his lungs, and the angel helped him somehow before the doctor even got there. And he was kind of embarrassed because he made such a scene going into the ER, and by the time the doctor got there, there was seemingly nothing wrong because the archangel helped him. But I think it's a wonderful testimony too. Archangel Metatron comes in with this beautiful sacred geometry. So if you're wanting to call in the highest vibrational forms of sacred geometry to come in and clear your chakras, set up to spin correctly, and I see it all the time working in energy work. When I'm doing channeling, I'll see all these sacred geometries come in and whirl around and create beautiful healings for people. But that's that particular angel. And then Uriel comes in with this incredible power, you know. So when you feel weak and you need like a lot of divine power to come in, or if you're having some kind of a natural disaster like a flood or a fire or a storm or something like that, I would really call on Archangel Uriel to help you to know how to deal with that kind of power and step into your power. So it just depends. I mean, of course, most people are going to call on Ascended Master Jesus. Ascended Master Jesus comes into my work frequently as well. It can be a trigger for some people if you've had religious abuse or wounding. So I want you to know that, like, you can call on Master Jesus in a non-religious way and do energy work. He loves to come in and do energy work all the time. So there are crystals that are really great for protection. This is the most popular, black tourmaline, and it works like an etheric vacuum to suck the negative energy off, and you just meditate with them. You just place them where you're feeling the need for clearing, and you meditate and you allow the energy to run through that, and this acts like an amplifier, or I guess like it magnifies where the energy is going to go. When I have a crystal in my hand and I'm doing energy work, it's really amplified by the crystal itself. We do Reiki shares inside of a crystal store, and it's just remarkable to feel all of the assistance of all the crystal beings and the devas. They are living beings. They all have jobs to do. They're anchoring the light in the crystalline grid here on the planet. So Smoky Quartz is a perfect healing tool. It is quartz, and quartz is known as the master healer. And Smoky Quartz is grounding and clearing, but not in a super heavy way. So I love these palm pieces. You can have one in the palm of each hand. And it's just great because you can grip it. They're really grippy. And then rest it on your knees and meditate. Really get in the zone, really feel the energy swirling down in through your crown, moving all the way through all of that stored energy into these crystals to really help you to anchor in a new vibration in those places. You're wanting to shift those places. You're not wanting them to stay stuck, or you're not wanting to stay in that emotion, which is the big fear when people are in a healing crisis is, oh my gosh, how do I work through this? You have to feel it. You have to feel it. And then you have to sort of look at, why does this feel so horrible to me? And if something that you're replaying in your mind, like a belief system over and over and over again, just makes you feel really bad, it's probably not true. It's probably something that somebody told you, and it just isn't lining up with you. It isn't resonating, and it's going to be really uncomfortable until you learn to let that go and find out what is true. And I'll tell you how I know. I mean, if I have something that is in my soul history or in my unconscious that becomes conscious and it's not favorable, or it's not my best quality, it doesn't feel terrible to see it. It feels liberating. It's like, okay, that's what's been hidden in there, and it's worth embracing this about myself because now I can shift it. Now that I've admitted that this is how I really feel, this is my truth, or this is what really happened, then you can shift it. As long as it stays suppressed, it's going to become like an infected splinter underneath the skin. So like when you're going to get a splinter out, it's painful. You have to dig around in there, but you have to feel that to get the splinter out. You know what I mean? So that's what we're doing when we're working with energy. And when it's coming out, you want to have some herbs to, you light the sage and you allow the smoke to come in and really reset that energy, and you visualize it going through whatever's going on. You're calling in all your angels and your guides, and you're visualizing it moving through that stuck energy and carrying it up to be transmuted and cleansed. And then Palo Santo is a sacred holy wood, and again, these are all ethically sourced. So you want to make sure that the people that you're buying from, are replanting, and that, like, this comes from Ecuador at ecuadorianhands.com, and we're actually really helping the Peruvian economy by doing this. This is how they support themselves. So what you do is you light it, and when you're burning something like this or frankincense, you're calling in sweetness or sweetgrass. You're bringing in the sweetness. You're inviting in now what you want to replenish your space. So after, it's like an affirmation, after you clear out a wound, then you want to have an affirmation of what you're stepping into. So now, we're stepping into our power. We got our tiger's eye, calling in Archangel Michael. We've got our sword here. We're asking for, what is a better way? What is a better outlook for me now that I've felt whatever it is that I need to feel? And all of this can happen in a session, but if you're at home after a session and now you're processing your stuff, which is a common theme. Oftentimes people just want to see what's going to happen. They're just curious. They come in for a session and then they go home and then they have their process. So that's why I'm making this video. So you want to meditate on it. You want to allow yourself to get into alignment with your own integrity. You want to connect and visualize a line of intention going straight up, all the way up into the central sun, and bringing this beautiful liquid light all the way through, really intentionally connecting with your higher self, your higher consciousness, your source light, rather than having your chakra just open and connecting with whatever's around, okay? If you're living in a toxic environment, that's rough, especially if you are a really sensitive, empathic person, or if you're really wounded and just really tired, you can become very absorbent to that energy. So to rise out of it with your intention and visualize that you are connecting and choosing to connect with this higher consciousness energy is what we're going for, okay? The moods, when you're having moods, you're going to want to work with crystals that have lithium in them. Kunzite, lepidolite. This is so soothing when you're having really big emotional upheavals, and that happens when people are healing their karma. Sometimes it feels really intense, you know, but it feels good too to get that, to drop that rock, because what happens when you release whatever it is that's been stored is you have way more positive energy now to do the things that you've been wanting to do. The block is gone. Now you can suddenly manifest that job that you've been wanting. Now you can start to call in the money that you need to support yourself. Now you can start to actually experience what love feels like. Now you can start to become healthy and heal whatever it was wrong inside of your physical body. It's all connected. The mind, the body, and the spirit is all connected. So when you're clearing, it's really good to have sulfur quartz or salt, because this is going to get this out when there's like a lot of, oh, whoa, what is that? It's all coming up at once. It's Mercury retrograde. Everything's coming up, right? Or the eclipse, which we're in eclipse season right now when I'm making this video, depending on when you're watching it. You want to be able to clear some stuff out. Obsidian's really good at that. This is some gold sheen obsidian. It's actually one of my favorites. I love the way that it feels to clear myself. It feels really good. Carrying that stuff around is what feels uncomfortable, right? But sometimes we're nervous about doing it and we'll have anxiety about what we're going to go through. So skullsite is this white crystal. This is like crystal Valium, and it calms everything down, and you can feel like, all right, I'm going to get zen. I'm going to embrace what's coming up here. I'm going to be here for myself. And that's what I use that for. Rose quartz is a wonderful one for just self-love. You want to always have self-love, self-compassion, compassion for others. When you're in a healing process, chances are it's harder for your friends and family who are watching you going through whatever it is that you're healing, and they might not understand, you know. So to always operate from the heart center is a good bet, and rose quartz helps you to do that. If you're having trouble connecting, if you're feeling depressed and you want to open up your crown, I would suggest some amethyst. Amethyst is a highly protective crystal, and it also really helps you to connect. This one's polished, this one's natural, raw. Both of them work really well. They also call it the sobriety stone. So if you're dealing with a lot of addictions and you keep like wanting to stress eat or drink, or if you're working through whatever it is that you run to in excess that you're wanting to bring temperance into, I recommend this. Okay, so after you do readings or wear jewelry for the day, these charging plates are really great to put things on to clear. So like, let's say I've been working with this all day long. When I come home, I can put it right there, and this selenite is going to naturally cleanse it for me. I do this in between readings, and I do sell these as well. But you can put your decks on them and put another one on top and sandwich it in between. The decks that I don't do that with, I have to spend a lot more time raking and clearing the energy from the last reading out. These, just the selenite does it for me. So what else do I have here for you? These are really super high vibe crystals. If you are in a funk, if you're in a depression, and you just don't have enough energy to do it, you're going to want to call in some light. Like, let's really call this in. This is Herkimer Diamond. Okay, and they're more pricey. But I do have some that are a little bit more affordable because they're not AAA quality, but they still work really well. Like, for example, this one's $30. And this one is like $60. And normally they would be like, something like this could be $300 or something at a store. They're a little more pricey because they only come from Herkimer, New York. But they really raise my vibration. So I'm just gonna sit here and let my vibration go up. And I love things that pull me up. Most people do. When you can't feel a crystal, there's usually a lot of stuck energy that's keeping you from your feel-good emotions. Again, oftentimes to get to those feel-good emotions or to open up spiritually, clairvoyantly, have more connection to your intuition, your claircognizance, your clairvoyance, your clear knowing, you have to get through those blockages, and then you can reconnect and recalibrate to your higher self, and then whoa, now you're more of a fully functioning, on your way to ascension, spiritual person, conscious person who has more vitality, more feel-good energy to attract the things that you want to attract and to hold space in a room, and that just takes time. It just takes time to develop that. So Spirit likes to give you, only as much as you can handle. Sometimes it feels like you get more than you can handle, but you handle it. That means that you really probably are stronger than you think you are when that's happening. Okay, another really good way to clear is sound. So I'm going to close with sound. I'm here to support you if you guys need any help with your ascension process. That's why I'm making this video. But there are all kinds of things that you can do for yourself. And I encourage you to follow your heart, follow your intuition. I know that your higher self is guiding you beautifully.